Hi everyone, this is Dr. Yang with the Faculty Assistant Mentoring Program. And in this presentation, I am going to go over some important information for you to be familiar with. Typically, if we were having face-to-face classes or we were on campus, I would be holding a face-to-face orientation to go over these information with you. So as you are listening to this presentation, feel free to jot down questions you might have, clarifications you need, then feel free to email me afterwards and I will be happy to answer any questions that you have, okay? All right. So first of all, just to give you all a background about this program, this is a career exploration program, and this program is targeting specifically towards the teacher education pipeline. So in this program, you will shadow and work alongside an LBCC faculty. One thing I like to clarify is this program is not for people who have decided that they want to major in education. Your major can really be in anything, any field, and you can still participate in this program. What we want you to be able to see is no matter what field you go into, the possibility of you teaching in your field could be a possible career path, and that's what we really want you to be able to see. So this program was created to tackle a couple of challenges the teaching profession is facing. And the first is the teacher shortage we are experiencing in California. So if you see on the map, California is experiencing one of the largest teacher shortage in the United States. Matter of fact, a survey in 2016 found that 75% of school districts looking to hire teachers, they couldn't find qualified teachers to fill their openings. So we've identified 4 specific fields of teaching that we would like to focus on. And one of them is STEM. And for those that are not familiar with STEM, it basically stands for science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. So for any of you out there who love any 4 of these fields here, we want you to see that a career path to teaching is always an option. The other 3 areas that we've identified are special education, bilingual education, and then CTE. And CTE are career technical education, the different types of CTE or career technical education. So the other challenge the teaching profession is facing is the lack of diverse workforce that make up the teaching profession. And today's classroom is becoming more diverse, and unfortunately the teaching workforce has not been able to reflect this diversity. So one objective of this program is to make the teaching profession a possibility for minorities and male students. It is vital for students to see that the person standing in front of the classroom looks like them, and this way students are able to visualize their own success through these individuals. So one statistics we found is that only 1 in 10 elementary teachers is a man, and this is a threat to gender equality and social justice and other democratic values. So when we say diversify, we're not just talking about race, ethnics, we're also talking about gender as well. So some of you might be questioning, okay, what did I get myself into? Is this really for me? And again, I want to clarify that this program is not a commitment to a career in teaching. Also, sometimes when we think of teaching, we think of little kids, and the teaching career has several pathways, from young children to adults. So teaching is not only working with children. This is simply a career exploration program in teaching in general. And we are, of course, in a college setting, so you will be able to observe and see what it takes to be a college professor in a community college setting. In the end, some of you might find that teaching is not for you after this, and that's okay, because that is what a career exploration program allows you to learn and find out about yourself. And then others, you might find that it is a possible career path, and we will simply be grateful for your participation in all of this. So again, I want to make sure that we are all on the same page when it comes to your qualifications. And most of you are already in the program because you meet all of these qualifications. So one of the things that I want to point out to you that's really, really important is being enrolled in 12 units for this fall semester. Part of the program requires you to be enrolled in at least 12 units. So if you drop out of the program, if you drop your classes and you fall under the 12 units, then we can no longer have you in the program. Okay, so it's really important that you're transparent with us about your situation. Otherwise, if we find out that you're no longer in 12 units, then we can't pay you for the hours that you've done. So please notify me, keep me in the loop if anything happens. Otherwise, just keep this in mind that you really have to stay enrolled in at least 12 units for the entire time that you're in the program. So what are some things that you're going to be doing? Well, first of all, you are required to complete at least 23 hours for the whole entire program. So it's really not that bad when you think about how many hours you need to dedicate each week. Some of you might be able to dedicate more hours, some of you less hours, but you have until about the first week of December to complete all of your hours. Some of you are still working on human resource paperwork, so the sooner you get that in, the sooner you can get started. Some other possible activities that you might be doing, and this is again, it varies from person to person. You might co-teach with a professor. You might teach or work one-on-one with students or in a small group. You might plan for certain parts of the lesson, assist with preparation, attend meetings. This is just a few of the many things that you could be doing. So what are expectations of you as faculty assistants or mentees, okay? Don't forget that because this is a new experience for some of you, be willing, I challenge you to be willing to step out of your comfort zone and try new things. So if you've never spoken in front of your group of peers or taught in front of them and you are terrified, try it, okay? Just try it, and the more you do it, the better you're gonna get. Ask questions and seek for guidance. That's what your mentor is there for. Anytime you're unsure about something, there's no such thing as a stupid question. Be receptive of feedback, okay? This is where your mentor is going to help you, especially if you're ready for some teaching. This is where they can give you some really good feedback on things that you can do to improve your teaching style and skills. And then demonstrate professionalism. This is super, super important. If you tell your mentor that you're going to attend certain classes, it is very important that you show up for those classes. If you have a certain responsibility that the mentor has given you or you've committed to those tasks, it's so important that you follow through, okay? And so that is part of professionalism. And part of the reason why you want to be sure that you excel in professionalism is because if you end up using your mentor as a reference, you want to be sure that they're going to speak highly of your ability to be professional in such a in this type of experience that you're going to have. And then finally, part of that professionalism is being responsible, dependable, and reliable. This is important. You want to make sure that your mentor feels like they can rely on you when you say you're going to do something. So how is this program going to benefit you? Well, again, I've mentioned this already, build your resume and your work experience. Some of the things that are really important for you to keep in mind is that employers today expect recent college graduates to demonstrate the equivalent of 2 years worth of work experience in their domain before they'll consider hiring them. And that's why it's important to build experiential opportunity right out of our academic programs, so learners apply classroom skills to solve real-world problems for real workplace sponsors. If you ever go on work websites like Indeed.com, yes, they always tell you the minimum education that is required for those positions, but the ones that are really going to be competitive are the ones that not only have the education but also have the experience. So these types of programs allows you to put these kind of experience down on your resume to give you an opportunity to be more competitive than other people that are applying for a job that you want also. By being in this program, you build a pool of references you will be able to use. This is really important because you want people that you know will speak highly of you, and this can be make it or break it deal for a lot of jobs that you apply for. And then finally, help you determine if the teaching career path is a possible profession. You won't believe how many people I know that goes to college and initially major in some other field like history or psychology, and they all end up teaching. So you don't be surprised if that happens to you. And then of course you'll receive a $300 stipend for completing the program, and that's always a benefit and a bonus. So what is the process? Okay, so a lot of you have done paperwork for me already. You did the initial application. You did the first round of paperwork for me. I was able to verify your GPA and the number of units you enrolled. Some of you have already finished your second round of paperwork for human resources. Some of you have just started, and then some of you are waiting for an email from human resources. It's so important you get these things going, and that way they can process your paperwork. And sometimes it could take up to 2 weeks to process your paperwork. So the sooner you can get it in, the sooner you can get started. And of course, once everything's clear with human resources, they will let me know, and then I will let you know, so you may officially start your hours. So this is important for you to know, that you cannot officially start counting your hours until you've been officially hired by human resources. And anytime, again, I mentioned this, anytime you drop below 12, make sure you let me know, okay? All right, so what are some roles and responsibilities that you have, okay? So for your mentor, under the faculty oversight and supervision, the duties of a mentee can include any of these things here. And I briefly mentioned them earlier already. One thing I want you to keep in mind is everyone is going to be different. You're not going to do all of these things. You may do some of these things. You might do more. It depends on your level of readiness and your relationship with your mentor. If they feel like you're ready, you might be doing more. If you don't feel like you're ready, make sure you communicate that to your mentor, and then they can support you and guide you to a place where you'll make progress, but then you'll also feel comfortable doing things that you think you will be successful in. Other things that I want to mention that you're not responsible for is that you're not responsible for the intellectual or instructional content of lesson plans. You can help write lesson plans, but it's not your responsibility to come up with a curriculum. Also, you're not responsible for selecting what students would do, planning, any policy decision making. You're not responsible to instruct or lecture the entire time of the course that you're in the program. And then of course the thing that I want to make sure you understand and your mentor understand is that you're not responsible for grading paperwork or inputting grades. And really you shouldn't be doing any of that because of confidentiality. And then other things that I suggest that you can participate in as a mentee is I encourage you to attend department meetings or committee meetings that your mentor is involved in. This way you really see all the behind the scenes activities that goes on besides just teaching that we do all the time. Feel free to participate in office hours with the mentor if that's available to you. And then of course any other Long Beach City College activities that your mentor is involved in, feel free to participate those as well. Now there's some important guidelines that I want to make sure that you're familiar with. One of them is with COVID-19, you should be student mentees should not be interacting with you and you're only interacting with each other remotely, basically. So at this time, no mentees are on campus. I know a lot of you asked me about that, and it's not a decision that I have control over, but this is something that the college, the administrators, this is the decision they have made. Something else is that a lot of conversations will take place between you and your mentor. So one of the things I encourage you to do is remember that these conversations are confidential. Your mentor has been encouraged to use discretion when discussing about students or personal matters and to remain professional. Not only that, but the professionalism extends to not discussing about other students in a way that can invade their privacy. If you have a concern and you feel it's beyond your ability to handle it, please feel free to contact me. That's why I'm here, okay? And a mentor who is assigned to two or more mentee, they are allowed to meet with both at the same time. So a few of you will have another mentee that both of you will be sharing the same mentor. And I think there's a lot of positive to that, because then both of you can work together, bounce off of each other, and work together if that's what your mentor wants you to do. So finally, if there are any issues that arises and the mentee is not able to perform the task for this program, we encourage mentors to discuss these issues with you and resolve it with you. And if that doesn't work, then I will have to intervene, and hopefully with my intervention things will improve. Of course, I'm not really concerned about any of that happening, but if we happen to have a situation such as that and there's not improvement, we will have to pull you out of the program early. And on the other hand, if you feel like your mentor is being unfair or asking you to do things that you feel like it's out of your ability and you're not able to communicate with him or her, feel free to see me about that, and I will be happy to intervene as well. So this is sort of a short a sample timeline and pacing guide for mentees. As you'll see some asterisks I put down there. It's important to note that all of you will have different readiness level. So some of you will probably never really feel comfortable co-teaching, and you're just going to use the whole time to observe classes, and that's okay too. But some of you have a working relationship with your mentor. Some of you have been in their classes, took their classes, know what the expectations are. You feel pretty competent in the field of study that you are in with your mentor, so you might be comfortable enough to co-teach. So everyone's going to look different. You and your mentor will make that determination together. So it's really important you speak up and you share with your mentor what is important to you, okay? All right, so some paperwork, important paperwork that you are responsible for. The first one is you will submit in weekly meetings that you will have with your mentor. If you go into Canvas, I have created some assignments, they're called assignments in Canvas, where you can submit those weekly meetings. And I've kept them general because everyone's first week is different, because some of you are still working on HR paperwork and then others are done already. So I just put week 1, week 2, week 3, and I put up to week 6. And if we need to add more, I'll be happy to do that. And so there's not a specific date, but I want you to, whenever you start, that's your first week, okay? And if you go into the assignment, there is a template that you would need to fill out when you have your meeting with your mentor. So it's your responsibility to fill out that weekly meeting form and not your mentor's responsibility. There are some suggested topics that I've included for you to cover on some of your weekly meetings, review and reflect of the week or past week. Okay, this can include things that you've observed, maybe your teaching experience if you had any, activities that you were involved in, or just your interaction with other students, or maybe even interactions that you observed between the student and your mentor. Your mentor will provide feedback on any teaching experience and lesson plan you had. And then I encourage you, your mentor, to set goals for what you're going to do next week. Okay. So if you're in that you're in the middle of the program and you're like ready to teach, that could be a goal. Next week, I'm going to try to teach my first lesson. Okay. So those are things that you and your mentor can decide on. Other topics that I encourage you to talk with your mentor about that will really help you understand what it takes to become a professor in a community college. Talk about their journey to a career in teaching. You're going to find that a lot of their path to teaching didn't start as a teacher ed major. A lot of them were like math major or English majors or psychology majors, and they just found teaching as something they eventually wanted to do. Talk about the pros and cons of of being a college professor, because we know it's not always stars and sunshine. And then ask them the salary of a college professor. This is important for you to know. Talk to them about the balance of the job and their personal life, because we know there are really demanding jobs out there, and then there are not a whole lot of demanding jobs. So that way you can see if this job is the right fit for you. And then ask them how to be competitive in this market. Teaching in academia or any post-secondary setting, colleges, 2-year, 4-year colleges, that's a really competitive field. And a lot of times they are hiring, there's only one position in a department, and there are hundreds of applicants of people that are trying to get that one position. So what are some things that you can do if you seriously want to consider teaching to make you competitive, so that when you apply for a job, you will be marketable and competitive enough to hopefully get hired by a college? So these are just some suggestive things that I think will be beneficial for you to know about while you're in this program. So again, one of the forms that you need to fill out are your weekly meeting forms, and this is your responsibility. Oh, and of course I mentioned about where you can find it already. The other form that you're responsible for are timesheets. And most of you are designated to work no more than 5 hours a week for the mentoring program. Again, you only have 23 hours of the whole program. You can work more than 23 hours, but our budget will only allow us to pay you up to 23 hours. So we can't pay you anything more than 23 hours. Go to Canvas and you will see that there's a place to submit your timesheet for each month. And again, you can find that timesheet log when you click on each month. Pay attention to when the timesheets are due for each month also. And so I will be taking care of the timesheets and try to be diligent each month on getting those in so we can stay organized, and that way I can input your hours. I'll need to find out if you will be paid once at the end of the semester or if they will pay you on a monthly basis. Last year when we did the program, they paid at the end of the program, at the end of the semester. I'll find out, and then I'll let you know what they're going to do this year. Other than that, wraps up information that I feel like you need to know. If I left anything out, I will be sure to email you, keep you updated. We also have t-shirts that we want to give out to all of you, so we're going to set a day on campus where we're going to hand out t-shirts for all participants in our program, and I'll update you on that as well. Thank you for your time, everyone. Good luck, and again, don't hesitate to reach out to me for questions.